Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Respected mu'mineen, mu'minat, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now that we have a clear understanding of the word Usul al-Deen, and that means the existential matters that starts with the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His characteristics, His oneness, and that He sent people down to communicate to us the purpose of life and to tell us that this life is not the end of this abode. Rather, there's another realm where every person shall see his consequence. So those existential matters, they sum up the word and the term Usul al-Din. Now, we can answer the question, why is it then incumbent upon everyone, every single person, as we said, regardless of their religion, regardless of their background, to tap into learning and searching about the essence of faith, Usul al-Din. Okay, so now I will mention to you the evidence, and there are many evidence, there are many proofs, but this is just one of them. I will mention it to you, and then inshallah ta'ala will elaborate on it as time permits, inshallah ta'ala. So the differences in people's belief, and we said belief, again, is those existential matters, right? Usul al-Din. There are people who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are people who don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are people who believe that He's physical. People believe He's non-physical. So that difference in belief may cause a negative psychological impact, okay? An unnatural state for the human being. And that in turn, this negative psychological impact can develop into harm. And harm usually and normally is alleviated. And how do we alleviate that harm? By learning and knowing about Usul al-Din. Okay. So when we say differences, we know that people believe, people don't believe, right? There's many walks of life, many different beliefs in this world, right? Now, when I come to reconcile about purpose of life, the existence of the Lord, right, His characteristics, what happens afterwards, all those that we spoke about, Usul al-Din generally, I'm repeating that for a purpose so you can understand that Usul al-Din is these existential questions. So it's related to every one of us, every single human being that has an intellect, right? So when you come to reconcile and solve those issues, you are in front of hundreds and thousands of options, right? There's different beliefs out there. So that causes an unnatural state, which is a negative psychological state that could develop into harming yourself and harming your natural state. And hence, an intelligent person usually does not leave those, let's call them questions and statements unattended and unresolved. Rather, he would go and seek the knowledge of understanding Usul al-Din. Okay? So this applies, this is repelling harm away. This is an intellectual obligation. It's a customary reasoning where you repel harm away. So by learning Usul al-Din, we're doing what? We're avoiding harm. We're repelling harm away from ourselves. We want to live a natural state. Otherwise, you will be inducing pain. You will be inducing doubt in your life. You'll be in a vicious cycle of doubt that could consume your energy, my dear brothers and sisters. Rather, the best approach is to face those existential questions and get to know them by one. And what's very profound and beautiful about them, they're all interconnected. They all lead one to another until you get to the very concept of afterlife, the hereafter, al-ma'ad yawm al-qiyamah. Okay, so now we discussed it from a worldly view. Even when we discussed it in an outwardly view, you come to the same conclusion. People who came to this life, righteous people, revered personalities, they came claiming that they are representatives of God, of that Creator. And they're saying that if you believe in that set of existential matters, then at the very end, you will attain salvation. And on the contrary, if you don't, you'll be doomed, right? And the concept of Jannah and Nar, right? Hellfire and heaven. So again, an intelligent person, he's in front of those two options. What does he do? He repels harm away. So Again, here I'm not saying to you to go and believe in what takes you to heaven, but I'm saying to you, go and examine those both options. At least go and study religion. So now you're in front of three options, and we'll conclude, inshallah ta'ala. Either you believe in everything, you believe that God exists and God does not exist. Is that possible? That's impossible. That's an invalid option. You cannot do that. Why? Because they're mutually exclusive. You cannot say now it's day and it's also night, right? You cannot say that this book exists and it also does not exist, because they're mutually exclusive. So it's not possible. Then the second option, then I would believe in part of what people believe, and then I would keep switching on so I can believe in everything. Is that possible? No. That's called indecisive preference. In Arabic, tarjihun bila murajjih, meaning that a, let's call it a preference without rationale, right? So that does not release you off your obligation and claims later on. Then we are left with one option. It's the obligation into learning about the essence of faith. صلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.